Welcome, everybody. I changed my microphone setup, so let me know if this is good, bad, or otherwise. Hi, I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and I am live taking your questions. I've put on my sage advice hat, as I hope to give you some sage advice today. No cost, just, hang out. Ask questions, make comments, live mentoring. Hi, Ana Lucia. Hope you're having a good day. How's my microphone sound? Maybe we should turn off the heat, as that sometimes sounds a little squeaky in the background. There we go. I am using a different way to stream today. So we are, I believe, 9 seconds apart. Usually we're almost a minute apart, and I'm trying some new stuff. So hopefully this will feel a little bit more live and realistic. You can see when your comment comes up on the screen. Sounds great. Okay, thanks so much. As always, I want to thank our paid Patreon members. Even this screen is updated. Thanks to everybody who has been donating to our Patreon. These are all of our paid members. And we also have so many free members as well. So please consider joining our Patreon, patreon.com/CXCC at the free level or the paid level. Paid is totally optional. So we did get some questions ahead of time today, but if you would like your questions answered live, send them over. deltacx.com/links has a link that you can use for asking your questions, or you can ask them right here in the chat. They'll come up on the screen and it will say your name. So if you're going to say evil things about your job or nice things about your evil job, you might not want your name popping up. So just a reminder there. So I'll make sure I'm checking my email for that. So let's start with the first question that I got. And it's actually 2 questions from the same person. So we're going to put both of them up and answer them in slow motion. So the first question says, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there was this LinkedIn post that talked about someone who's a UX designer who got fired from his job and was replaced with a developer. Should UX designers be worried about being replaced from developers, or is this just a company that may have low UX maturity and not fully understand it? So in general, I don't want people to feel worried. I think that puts a lot of toll and stress on us that we really don't need. Unfortunately, there are many ways that people right now could be laid off, and I don't want people to worry about them because that doesn't make it better. We can only just do the best job that we can, stay in touch with our teammates and our manager and see what they need, and do our best. So please don't worry, it's probably not going to help. So UX designers at times are replaced by all kinds of people. Sometimes they're replaced by a marketer. Sometimes they're replaced by a developer. Sometimes they're replaced by a product manager. To me, that's a sign that the company wants to just go fast and doesn't really care about quality, because there's a really good chance, though it's not always, often that developer, that marketer, that product manager, business analyst isn't a UX expert, may or may not have extensive UX training, experience, expertise, and things like that. Sometimes it's like, oh, I like UX and wireframing looks easy, so why don't I do that? And the company goes, cool, we can pay one less person, let's get rid of that person. Now, of course, that only works if we're not keeping track of this, if there's no accountability. If there is accountability, then if the UX ends up bad and working poorly and causing bad outcomes, then you would hope that someone would go, okay, that didn't work, we better get a real UX designer back in here. But if we don't care about that and we're not checking quality or outcomes or things like that, and there's no accountability, then I think companies might just make decisions on what costs them less. So I don't agree with those decisions, but I also don't think worrying about them is going to help. I'm sorry, I don't have a great answer here. It's not a great time to work in technology. UX is not doing well, but technology in general is not doing well. We'll have a future show on that. The second question that this person asked is, there is so much concern on AI replacing jobs, even UX. How concerning is this for you, as well as junior and senior professionals that have been in the field for a while? So I don't think AI replaces us yet. Could it happen in my lifetime? Maybe. But I don't think AI replaces us yet, because it's still not like talking to a human. So think about, there's a couple of jobs that AI could potentially replace. Could it replace a content strategist? If you don't want people writing your stuff and you think that an LLM writing your stuff is great and not just remixing existing stuff it was trained on, if it's really doing a good job and testing well and understandable for people and good information architecture, if AI can do that, it's hard for me to tell you to not use it. Again, I would just say accountability, outcomes, measurement. Let's make sure that this really is the better way. We know it's cheaper and we know it's faster, but if it's not better, then what are we really doing? And aren't we running the risk that we might lose customers and users? So what about other jobs? Some people say, oh, AI can do UX design, AI can do artwork, it can do UX design. There are still a lot of controversies over where that artwork has come from, and if it's copyright or other infringements when AI creates art based on other people's art. So, can AI do design? Again, AI can pretend to do these things, but the question is AI doing them well? And that's where we have the question of, do we care about quality? Do we care about value to the customer or user? Do we care about outcomes? If we don't care about any of those and we just want to go fast and be cheap, then fire everybody. AI does everybody's job. AI writes code. AI checks the code. AI is your product manager. AI does all your UX work. AI is the business analyst. If we don't care how well any of these jobs are done, then certainly they can all be done by AI. But if we care about the quality of how any of these jobs are done and the outcomes that these create, because we claim to care about outcomes, then we have to take a look at, is AI doing this work well? And my current opinion in March 2024 is that AI is not doing this work well enough to replace people. I don't think AI can do UX research. There are certainly tools out there that claim will interview your users, will be a chatbot, will collect your users, what they say, AI will ask your users follow-up questions. Again, what AI might do in those scenarios may not match what I do in those scenarios. And then we have to ask ourselves, did this do a good job? Because we know it can do something, but is it doing a good thing? We're just going to have to keep playing with it and researching it to determine if it's good. I remember there's a service out there that is from the Typeform people. Now I'm forgetting the name of it. Video Ask, hashtag not sponsored. And they had a system where if you wanted to be in a live chat with someone on a website, you didn't have to do a chat. You could record a little video and say what you wanted to say, and then the person can video you back. And the idea was they thought there would be more engagement from kind of like if you go to someone's website and you have a quick question for them, that would be more interesting and engaging. And I thought, gee, that does sound interesting. Maybe people would rather record a quick question with voice or video than to type it. So I installed it on my website. This is a few years ago. And the number of interactions I had dropped to 0. So whereas I was getting some live chat interactions and some people asking questions, it went from some to none. And so what does that mean? That wasn't AI, but people don't always want the chatbot. They don't always want to record the video and have no human on the other side. A lot of you have said, gee, I had this weird job interview where I just had to talk to a camera and I only got one chance to say something, and that really didn't work for me. But then we're saying, oh, let's use this AI tool where AI is going to ask people a question and they have to record their answer, and AI is going to figure out what they said and try to ask a follow-up question. Again, you can try these things and you would have to see, does this system do your job as well as or better than you can? If so, then I think we might be worried about being replaced. If it's not doing our jobs as well as or better than we can, then to me it doesn't really replace me. You could replace me with someone who's never done UX research before. Is that a real replacement? They're probably not going to get things done the way I can get them done with my efficiency or accuracy or technique, but you could replace me with them. So again, I don't want people to just be worried about all of these things. Worrying doesn't help. If you want to take some sort of action and apply for different jobs or try to get out of UX or whatever, look, I support you. I support you in whatever is going to make you happy and whatever is going to help you find a job that you feel better about. And if that means not working in UX, okay, I get it. But I don't want people to just be worried. That can't be good for you. Ana Lucia said, AI seems to be great as an assistant to a developer, but just assisting. It helps their productivity a lot since they need to consult references all the time. AI cannot code and do a whole sprint. Yeah, some people are asking AI to write code and there's mixed results. Some people are asking AI to do designs with mixed results. Again, if AI is trained on existing stuff and you ask it to design stuff, chances are it's just going to remix what already exists. We're not at the point where AI is truly artificially intelligent and is going to come up with something never before seen if it can only remix what it already knows. So again, there's a difference between, can this thing do my job and can it do my job well? And if companies care if my job is done well, then I can't be replaced by AI. If companies don't care if my job is done well and they just want it done by somebody, anybody, nobody, then sure, replace everybody with AI if we don't care about quality, value, outcomes, things like that. So that's how I feel about that. I don't want AI asking people interview questions. I don't want it asking them follow-up questions. I don't know if it's going to understand what people say and their tone of voice and some of the pauses and sighs, and people look off to the side, and there's so many other cues that you get from people that AI is not going to pick up yet. Maybe someday it will understand emotions and tone of voice and people making subtle facial expressions. I don't think we're there yet. We could get there in my lifetime, but it doesn't replace me yet. And I don't know why we're running so fast and so hard toward every dystopian movie we've ever seen. I don't get it. Oh, is my cursor finally not on the screen? That would be great. Ana Lucia says, and the things that a person doesn't say sometimes says a lot. Also very true. Again, there's so many, this sounded so philosophical. There's so many, that's why I've got the hat. There's so many nuances to this. I did an article and I asked AI if AI should do UX and user research, and it said no. So again, if you are a company or a team or a leader and you think, AI can do what Debbie does, AI can do UX research, newsflash, AI says not yet. So if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe AI telling you not yet. So hello, I'm Debbie from Delta CX. I'm here live and I'm taking your questions. You are welcome to ask any questions about anything I happen to know anything about or be good at, or any area of my expertise, which normally falls into CX, UX, product and service strategy, customer experience, customer centricity. So happy to answer any questions. Questions are free. You don't even have to tip me. So I am checking and I am not seeing any questions. If people are asking questions, please let me know, because that means my system is not working. Oh, my stream's bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Okay. I will have to figure this out. I'm trying some new settings. Hello, everyone. Yes. Are you testing like how fast the messages come up? Because it should be much faster. How's the stream looking, by the way, on YouTube? Just curious. I think we have a delay of about 9 seconds, which is so much better than our usual 1 minute. And what about LinkedIn? Let's see, what's the delay look like? Oh yeah, that's pretty fast. I'm here wondering if AI is able to discern sarcasm. Yeah, you know, that's interesting, because sarcasm is sometimes what you say and sometimes tone of voice and sometimes both. So I don't know if AI can discern that. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this area. Let's see, I'm going to just check if the stream is on LinkedIn. Okay. We've got something coming in from Jen. Hi, Jen. Just curious, is it your, let's add this to our questions. YouTube looks great, 9 or 10 seconds delay. Yeah, I'm trying some new things. It should even be 4K. I'm hoping this is 4K. Does this look clearer than usual? Not just because of the hat. Thank you, Jen, for the question. Let me just get it up into our list and also up on the screen. Okay, where's my giant question? Okay, so Jen asks, just curious, is it your perception that companies actually do care less about quality these days? Yes. I would have to say that while it's certainly not true for every company, I think many companies are way more in love with go fast than be good. I think companies care less about being good or great or delightful or, hi Victor, we'll get to you next. Let's see, we should get back to my effects. So let's see, they care less about real empathy. And they're going for the fake empathy. Let's see, let's use this one today. Yes, I do think companies don't seem to care about quality because quality takes time and quality costs money. And if you think it's more important to be fast than to be good, then quality has to be sacrificed. If you think it's more important to be, I'm not sure if it's, oh yeah, right, it's 1080. Let's see, where is my graphic? Okay, let's roll out this one. So this is my little triangle of efficiency. If we want to be efficient, we ultimately have to balance a few things. Velocity, our speed, cutting risk and waste, otherwise we're risky and wasteful, that's not good, and what customers need. If we're not balancing those, we're probably not efficient. And I think efficiency, it's important to have all of those three. If we are fast but not good, okay, that's going to be reflected in our KPIs, our revenue, our success, our failures, our growth, our lack of growth. So we know this. There you go. All right, let's, so yes, Jen, unfortunately, I think there is a shift towards no quality or lower quality and less accountability. So together, these are a bad pair. Victor says, Cherish says, John Oliver on Last Week Tonight did an episode on Boeing, which is about how they don't care about quality anymore and just increasing share price. People are literally dying because of the lack of desire to focus on quality. Agree. Some of this is life or death, and people just don't care. Jen says, I'm both glad and dismayed that I'm not imagining that. You're not imagining that. Okay, we've got Victor. Victor retyped his question. Let's copy and paste the better looking one. You're typing it everywhere. Stop typing it. We got it. Okay, so let me just paste it into where we're going to put the questions into YouTube later. So yes, thank you for joining, Victor. Good to see you in all of your places. You're bilocating, and your question is, hi Debbie, nice to be here. What are the steps after the discovery quadrant? How do I get to actionable insights? What are the most common artifacts to deliver? Could you explain it briefly? Yes, so let's talk about that a little bit. Victor's referring to episode 196. Are you a subscriber on our YouTube channel here, CX-CC? Please subscribe, comment, and press like. Won't you please? So that was episode 196. If you haven't seen it, just go to YouTube and write 196 CX-CC. It'll pop right up. And the discovery quadrant is an exercise that looks a little like this. And basically the idea is it's something you can run with your team, in short, so go watch the whole video, to collect questions people wish they had answered, assumptions, guesses, opinions, hypotheses, possibly outdated data, and other things that we certainly might want to have some tough conversations about when we realize how much we don't know. So then the question, of course, from Victor is, okay, how do we get from all the questions and unknowns and ambiguities that our teammates have all the way over to insights and artifacts? Well, obviously the piece in the middle there is research. So let's see if I can put that together on the screen. Hold on. I've been redoing some of my setup. Here we go. Okay. And then we'll read the comments that are coming through. Lots of comments from Ana Lucia. Thank you for chiming in. So this is, in short, a research process. So once you use the discovery phase knowledge quadrant, also known as the KQ, the knowledge quadrant, now you've got to do research, because once you have all of those questions collected from your cross-functional team, you can show the value of research really fast when you get those questions answered and get them answered well. So that means that's the what do we want to learn part. That will be in the quadrant, and that will help you know what do people need to know to make better. Hold on, new graphic. Let's see if I think, is it the blue one? Strategies, priorities, and decisions. So we want to make sure that we are helping people with that. So then we have to do the whole research process. There isn't an easy jump from the knowledge quadrant exercise to insights, artifacts, actionable suggestions. You've got to do the research. So after you've done the knowledge quadrant and you figured out what's in scope and what can we find the answers to, then you have to get to planning the research. We'll put this back up. Planning the research. What's going to be your strategic approach to this research project? What are the research goals? What do you have to get answered? Now we have to figure out what's our protocol, script, guide. What are we going to ask people? What tasks do we want to see them do? What about recruiting? How many people do we want to talk to? Who? Make sure we get those diverse audiences. Running the research, then analyzing and synthesizing it, and then finally coming up with those insights, opportunities, suggestions, and all of the artifacts that go with research. So again, there isn't an easy hop from the knowledge quadrant exercise to the outputs and outcomes. Unfortunately, we're going to have to do the good research work in between. Where companies want to do faster, cheaper research work, then sure, you can just try to run a quick survey, but you might get the wrong information. It might be the wrong way to try to answer those questions. So that's where we have to talk about risk and the possibility that we are using the wrong research method and we're not going to get the right answers or any answers to those important questions. Let's take a look at what Ana Lucia is saying. I was talking to a friend today. He's a dev. He was really mad because he spent all day trying to fix older code. His company has a ton of tech debt. Apparently, the product team and the CTO were against fixing the tech debt, even though it exploded in their faces. I was shocked, and I asked him, take that question off, why he thought they were against it. He said, it's not a shiny new feature and they don't get the consequences of tech debt and what scalability is. Oh, and he was only able to get his way because the architect stood up for him to fix the tech debt before it explodes again. Yeah, I definitely tell a few stories like that in my Customers Know You Suck book. Like there was one company where they had, some app was pushing app store ratings into our Slack so we could see app store ratings as they came in. And I was keeping an eye on them, and there were so many 1-star ratings with angry complaints and things like that. And so finally I went to the product manager who owns the app and I said, are these complaints true? Is this real? Like, is this really what using our app is like? And they were like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, that's pretty bad. A lot of these people are uninstalling it. They hate the app. They're telling friends not to do this and not to work with us. And they're telling everyone don't install the app. Why don't we devote some sprints to fixing some of these problems that we know are real problems? And they said, well, why should we bother? We have a 4.6 in the App Store. And of course, my thought was, well, congratulations on your 4.6, but evidently we suck. And evidently we know we suck. And maybe a lot of those old reviews, those good reviews are old. And as more and more bad reviews come in, we're not going to have a 4.6. Do we care about the future at all? And this is where I say, I think people don't have a strategy. What is the strategy? Where's my strategy? No. Yes, strategy. We've got to create a strategy to say, how are we going to get from where we are to the goals we're trying to achieve? And why don't those goals include an app that isn't so terrible? An app that people would never leave a 1-star review for because it's not so bad. Maybe it's even good. So much wackiness. Cherish says no one gets bonuses for fixing tech debt. No one gets punished for creating it. Yeah, it all goes back to accountability. That's why I keep telling people it all goes back to accountability. That's at the center of so many of our problems because we can point at, hey, people don't understand UX. Hey, UX isn't given time to do good work. Hey, blah, blah, blah. But what's at the center of all this? Accountability. If we can make customers unhappy, if we cannot meet our KPIs, if we cannot meet our business goals, if we can watch customers walk out the door or downgrade, and no one's held accountable for that, because that's going to be at the middle of all of this. If no one's held accountable and no one's in any trouble and no one gets their budget cut and no one's put on a performance improvement plan and nobody is demoted or, sorry, but maybe fired, if none of these things happen, there's no reason to be better. There's no reason to be good. Let's just do things fast, break them. Who cares? Sounds cool, right? Cool soundbite. Carolina's here. Hey, Carolina. Good afternoon. Hi, Debbie. I would like to know. Okay, great. We have a fresh question, so let me copy paste this. Let's put it up on the screen. Okay, sorry, lots of slow motion copy paste things. Oh, that's the wrong button. Let's use the slide in button. There we go. Hi, Debbie. I would like to know what you think about the brainstorm stage in the ideation they usually teach at bootcamps after the research to come up with the information architecture. Ooh, Carolina, that sounds a little bit strange. I might need more information from you because what boot camps tend to teach, as you know, because I know you've been watching some of our other videos, and thank you for that. How did they use research to come up with the information architecture? Are you saying, And was there research before that to understand the problem we're even solving? Because research for information architecture is a thing, and I've done it, and it can be really helpful. But if we're trying to brainstorm and ideate and solve problems and improve things, did we do any research into that problem? That's where we put up this one. People, contexts, systems. Congratulations on your card sort, but what do we really know about our target audience? Context, environment, tasks, systems. What do we know? What's this one? Oh yeah, that's my new one there. What's this one? Oh yeah. Sorry, I made all new circles. Now I forgot what they all look like, because they all look similar. So, Carolina, what do I think about brainstorm? In general, I'm not against brainstorming, but I am against brainstorming when we are brainstorming things we don't understand. And that's where we end up in what I tend to call the guessing lasagna. And so the guessing lasagna usually looks something like this. Hey, we want to fix or change something in our system. Well, okay, maybe it's something around this. Okay, it's our first guess or assumption. Okay, it's maybe something about this. Okay, so people aren't doing enough of this thing we hope they'll do. You know, we want them to convert more, buy more, license more, whatever it is. Why aren't they doing that? I don't know. Okay, we start guessing. Why aren't people doing a thing? Why are they doing a thing? And we layer on more guesses. Now the brainstorm becomes more layers of guesses, because we're basically saying, let's guess how to make people do something when we don't know why they do it or don't do it now. That ends up lots and lots and lots of guesses. Even if you've done information architecture research, even if you've done a card sort, you still might not solve a problem correctly or well or at all. Carolina says, after the problem and persona, they teach Crazy 8 and other methods to brainstorm. So you are talking about design thinking. You're not talking about human-centered design or user-centered design. We covered this in a previous article. It wasn't a video. I have an article. Just Google Medium Levitt, that's me, Levitt, design frameworks. And I talked about how ultimately the idea of human-centered design or user-centered design, let's put up that graphic, looks like this. Sorry, I've got to clear up my graphics now that I'm rebuilding my system. So the idea of human-centered design is that we have a full process that we can go through when we need to solve a problem, create something new, make something better. It's used for all of these things. We typically start with, I hit my ears. We start with research. We want to understand people, contexts, and systems. What problem are we solving? What are the real pain points? Not ones we guessed at, not ones we assumed, not ones we came up with and then wrote a survey to try to validate it. We aren't trying to validate if we had a good idea or not. We are just starting with what problem do people have in some sort of space we want to go into. We're not thinking about the solution. That was the gap I had about being clear. Yeah. So then what about information architecture and design and all that? Sure, we'll get there eventually, but think a little bit also about the scientific method. We need that research and that customer intelligence to be our early observations and initial understanding of things. Then we can ask a question or write a problem statement. Here's what's going on for people. Here's what's working for them. Here's what's not working for them. Now we can try to solve it through design, through products or services or whatever. Now notice at the beginning we're not thinking about the products or services. So then of course you've got other steps. So ultimately, now I'm old enough to remember a time when I got hired into jobs and I didn't have to run any workshops because they didn't exist, or they weren't popular. And so I've never been asked to run crazy eights or get everybody together and have them. I was always brought into companies who said, you're a problem finder and a problem solver. We need you. Help us. And so it's more recently that we have these techniques that we were sold that hey, if you just run these fun workshops and do these fun exercises, you're going to solve problems. You're going to say, how might we, which I always thought was too obsessed with we, when we're not we focused. We're supposed to be user and customer focused. We have, crazy eights and let's come up with bad ideas and whatever. I don't need games to come up with ideas and innovations. I have created innovations and inventions in my life, and none of them came from these workshops. None of them came from group meetings. They all came from relaxing moments when my mind could be free. As Joe Rohde would remind us. So, walking down a road, being in the shower, not working. That's when I come up with my best ideas. So brainstorming and workshops tend to be very much theater. They tend to be the pretending that we are going to be innovative. But when's the last time we were really innovative in those meetings? When's the last time we really invented something that never before existed? So I'm not against brainstorming, but I am worried about the amount of brainstorming companies do when they don't even understand the problem they're trying to solve. They don't understand the people. They claim they have empathy, but they've made stuff up, or they're going by stereotypes, or they're going by guesses and assumptions. This is not going to be the path to good outcomes. Maybe it's fun. Maybe it's cool. Maybe we get to play Twister and throw darts and whatever, but this is not the way that I used to be brought into companies to solve problems. This is not how Larry Marine solves problems. Larry Marine does not gather everybody in a room and ask them to play crazy eights. There's no playing involved when Larry Marine and or I go try to solve problems for companies of all sizes. So brainstorming can be okay, but we need to make sure that it's not garbage in, garbage out. And a lot of boot camps are teaching people design thinking, which is a very reduced, skimped, watered down version of human-centered design and really removes a lot of what should be in human-centered design. That's why they're not the same thing. Design thinking and human-centered design aren't the same things. Again, if you like speed and you don't care as much about quality, you can do design thinking. You can do shortened versions of UX work. You can do guessed at versions of UX work. But obviously today's theme, today was brought to you by the letter Q for quality. If we care about quality, then a lot of these methods aren't the right choice. If we don't care about quality and we just want to prove ourselves right or have some fun in a workshop or all these other things that we pretend this is, but this worries me because we don't hold these workshops in any other area. We don't have a product management, everybody guess at it workshop. We don't have engineering brainstorming workshops. We don't have marketing campaign workshops where we all go and come up with marketing campaigns. That does not happen very much. So I'm always worried about why people are trying to turn UX and CX work, which is mission critical, into fun games. The problem wasn't that we weren't having enough fun in games in UX. That was not the problem. So the workshop doesn't solve the problem. The workshop creates problems. So thank you for that question. Always good to talk about that. There's a zillion videos on the Delta CX YouTube channel, our old channel. This is the CXCC channel. You can just go to YouTube and write Delta CX Design Thinking, and you'll get lots of stuff on why I believe that is not a good method when it is defined as something designed to be fast. There are some people who say design thinking and human-centered design are the same thing. Okay, in that case, maybe design thinking's okay. But the problem is when someone says design thinking, you don't know which definition they have until you ask. We can't be sure that they really mean good quality work done by specialists or experts. Sometimes it's let's get together and play a funny game and see if we come up with wacky ideas that solve problems we didn't bother taking the time to understand. Just doesn't sound good to me. But I'm picky like that. I care about quality. For me, it's quality first. That's it. It's quality first. And I've got to fix this graphic too, but it's converting opinions, guesses, and assumptions into evidence, data, and knowledge. And that conversion happens through good research. You can't crazy-eights your way to good evidence. You have to go into a brainstorming session having already gathered the good evidence through good research. The card sort's not going to tell you that. The tree test is not going to tell you that. The survey's not going to tell you that. And very often a focus group doesn't tell you that. So we have to be very picky about our research methods. I mentioned in a couple of videos back on the Delta CX channel that there are some companies out there that want to be design thinking and design sprint companies, but they suggest doing 6 weeks of research before your design thinking exercises or design sprint. Okay, cool story, but now it's just starting to sound like good human-centered design. I would love to see companies invest 6 weeks of research before trying to solve a problem. This is just good R&D. So according to the timer, we still have about 16 minutes together. So if you'd like to ask a question, you are next on the list. You can ask it here in the chat, as people have been doing today, or you can ask it anonymously at deltacx.com/links. And let's see. Oh yeah, we've got 2 webinars coming to Marks. I accidentally scheduled 2. We've got 3 p.m. Italy time talking more about UX healthcare and the commercialization of healthcare. And then we've got 11 at night, which is roughly this time, where we're going to be talking with Michelle Packran and Jeremy Miller, I think it is. I'm drawing a blank, about being design leaders. So yeah, got to check in with those people and make sure they're still up for it. Otherwise, we'll have to reschedule in case anyone is sick or anything like that. So if there aren't any questions, oh, hey, it's Victor again. I have another question. Okay. Let's copy and paste this question and put it up on the screen. Okay, so... Okay, more copy paste, hold on. What do you think about affinity maps? Do you think they are effective? So let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. Do you mean affinity maps, or I get the feeling you mean empathy maps? Because an affinity map is a pretty normal thing that we do during an analysis and synthesis phase of our research project. It's pretty normal that you don't always have to do it, to take the notes and information that you have from the research sessions that you've run and try to bring the themes together to see empathy maps, I thought so. All right, let's fix this. Please hold. Empathy maps. All right, let's talk about empathy maps. Everybody say it with me. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Empathy. So we've gone over this on this channel, or maybe on the old channel before in Delta CX. You could probably go to YouTube and write Delta CX empathy maps and it'll figure out which video we talked about it in. But I happen to be against empathy maps for a few reasons. So number one, when is the last time anyone made an empathy map and then when they got to later stages of a project, went back and looked at that empathy map and said, you know what, I can't design without looking at this empathy map to get important information that's going to influence my design? That seems to be a rare thing. It's possible, but if your empathy map is not going to influence what happens later, such as designs, such as, strategies, priorities, and decisions, if it's not influencing these things, then what is the purpose of the empathy map? Sometimes I say to people who say, oh, my boot camp said make empathy maps. And then I say, well, yeah, Ana Lucia will get there, thank you. I say, well, what would have happened in your project if you hadn't made an empathy map? Would the project have been any different? Would something have been missing? Would you have made a mistake if you had no empathy map, if you just skipped it completely? Salta. So that's one thing, one perspective that I have on empathy maps is I'm worried that we don't really use them. They're not really actionable, and we don't really carry them through to influence other aspects of strategies, priorities, decisions, or design or our project. Then we've got the piece that Ana Lucia is talking about, which is what is on an empathy map? Very often, but not always, an empathy map has some quadrants, and they'll say things like says, does, thinks, feels. I'm going to ask you, Victor, because I think we're only delayed 9 seconds today. Which one of those can we be sure about? Which one of those are real and true? And I'll wait the 9 seconds for you to answer that. Go ahead, type into the chat, says, does, thinks, feels. Which ones do we know for sure? Assuming we've done good observational research. 0. Okay, that's more pessimistic than even I would want to be. Love you for it. Usually what I like to say is if we haven't done research, you're right. It's 0. If the empathy map is just guessed or assumed or workshopped without good research first, you're right, it's 0. But let's imagine we have done good research first, and we're going to make that empathy map after really good observational and interview research. We know what people said, and we know what people did. We don't know what they thought, and we don't know what they felt. Even if someone says, I feel confused here. Well, that's something they said. I would still put that in said, because sometimes what people really feel and what they say aren't the same. Sometimes I feel furious, and I say, I feel unsure about this. Is the right feeling captured there unsure, or is it anger, fury, frustration? So we only have what people say, even if they're telling you, I feel this, or I think this. It's still, to me, and maybe I'm just being a purist, what they said. And so if I were to make an empathy map, which I don't, it would have 2 pieces, what people said and what people did. But then again, what would I do with that later? That's not as, wait, we've got it. Let's see, let's do it. That's not as meaningful, actionable, and helpful as other things that I can create while working on research. There are other things that I can create that are really going to influence other people's decisions, their work, the direction we go in. The empathy map is less likely to really change something we're doing later. Is the designer going to look back at the empathy map and go, oh wow, thanks to this, I really know what to design? Or is a stakeholder going to go, oh wow, thanks to that empathy map, I changed our strategy. We're really headed in the wrong direction. Wow. Chances are, if we can make those types of changes or influence, it's going to be from other documents that come out of our research, not necessarily the empathy map. Ana Lucia says, besides, if the person says, this feature makes me sad, does it go on the feel or the says? Yeah, to me it says. I don't know what they feel. I'm not in their head, and I don't have a big enough ego to imagine that I'm in people's heads. So yeah, I think there's accidental ego there when we think, I know what another person thinks, and I know what another person feels. And all of the female people here right now, or people who identify as female, hands up, emojis up, give me some emojis. How often has somebody said to you, oh, you seem angry right now, and you weren't angry. You were something else, or you were nothing, and they're just messing with you. So are we superimposing assumptions we have about people's feelings on each other? I don't want to see that either. People say, oh, should I write down the participant was frustrated? And I say, Only if you're absolutely sure that they're frustrated and they said they're frustrated. Otherwise, I'm going to use softer words. The participant seemed frustrated. The participant appeared, thank you, cherish face, red, droopy eyes. I don't know why it came up as that and not the, here, where's my, I need to refresh my emojis. Where did I put them? I think it's this one. Let's try it again. Refresh emojis. All right. We got a couple of, got light bulb. I don't know what happened to red, face red, droopy eyes. That sounds good. That happens to me all the time. I have RBF. Anna Lucy, I had breakfast with you. You do not have RBF. I'm not sure if I can type that. Yes, we know about that. People can Google that. I don't believe you have that. I've met you in person. But yes, even without that, sometimes, you might not have RBF, but you might just have a very neutral face that doesn't show what you're feeling in any particular moment, or you might not be comfortable showing what you're feeling, so you try to hide it. These things are possible. I'm not saying what you're doing or who you are, but any of these could be true, and people might misread or misunderstand our feelings or what we're thinking. So we want to be careful. Victor says, how can we measure the feelings of a user? Yeah, why are we trying to measure someone's feelings? And sometimes people say, well, I need to put in my empathy map or my journey map or my documents that the customer felt whatever. And I go, why? If you're documenting that this feature is a mess or this task is a disaster, we can assume that the feeling is negative. Are you going to change strategies, priorities, decisions, designs, products, services because, people feel frustrated? I find most leaders and stakeholders don't care. If you say, hey, you know what? We found out people feel really bothered by this new thing we released, or people are really upset. They're complaining a lot to customer support. When's the last time a leader said, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Let me immediately give you budget so you can fix this? I need a good frozen face for the thumbnail later. What do you think? Maybe the funny smiley one. So yeah, I think that the problem is, especially with boot camps and short courses and empathy maps and customer journey maps, we're taught to over-focus on what we think someone's feelings are. And I say, but then how do you carry that through your work? Okay, you think people are feeling great. You think people are feeling delighted. You think people are feeling sad. You think people are feeling disappointed. So what? What are you doing about it? What does that mean? What's causing it? Do we understand the root causes? Congratulations. So these are a lot of the concerns I tend to have about these artifacts that boot camps and short courses tend to teach. Like, hey, you just need to talk to a few users and make an empathy map. And I'm thinking, no and no. Not if you want to do it well. You can do that. Nothing stops you. But is that the right research done the right way? Possibly not. And that's where I get concerned. Oh, hooray, my new system doesn't show my cursor over my face anymore. Remember that? Remember when my cursor was over my face? Now it's not. But I think I need to turn up the filter on my camera. My eyes, little dark circles. Gotta bump up the camera filter on that, so I don't have to put on makeup. What do you think? Let's see. Yes? No? Oh, that's not changing things as much as I thought it would. Maybe it's not that slider. I have all these funny sliders. Here, this one will be very silly. This one should blur me into nothing. I love when people come on Zoom calls and they look like this. And you're like, that's not a person. Is that really a person? You're so smooth and blurry. I have to laugh. I'm so glad your cursor doesn't appear anymore. I can't say how many times I moved my cursor. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the settings in my system, but I've made some system updates the last week. I erased my whole computer. I started again. I fixed a few things, I think. So, yeah. I just noticed it's not happening. That's amazing. Yeah. All right. So our gong is probably going off, which means we're out of time. I hope you will check out other live events we have coming up, cxcc.to/events. Most of them are free. The space workshop in April, which Cherish highly recommends, thank you, Cherish, is also available. If you are in our Patreon, even our free Patreon, you can look back in time and get a discount code. Otherwise, you are welcome to pay full price. So the space workshop is in mid-April. It's strategizing products and customer experiences, and it's a 12-hour version of a lot of the stuff I teach, and I'll be there live remotely, so you can ask me stuff. Otherwise, check out all of our events. I'm scheduling 1 or 2 webinars per week. They've been on Google Meet. I'm going to move them back here to YouTube. I think that's just a better system. Do the workshop. Tell your friends. Thank you, Cherish. If you're interested in the space workshop, you can track it down on the events calendar on April 12th, 13th, and 14th, or just head to cxcc.to/space. In lowercase letters, and that will get you to the page. It tells you more about the workshop and how to sign up. Yes, and don't forget to join our Patreon. And the reason I've got a Patreon is to have no algorithm between you and me. That is the bottom line. I am so tired of all these algorithms. LinkedIn, Medium, YouTube. If I want to get something out to y'all, it's hard. So yes, Ana Lucia signed up for the next workshop. I'm so excited. I think we have 15 people signed up so far. So that is exciting. I'm hoping to have more, but even 15 is a great group. And so the workshop is certainly happening, and you won't be there alone. There will be people. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up and roll into bed. But thanks to everybody for joining live. I usually do this on Tuesdays. I'm going to have to take next Tuesday off because I will be traveling. If you're in our Slack or Discord, the automated bot is still going to tell you next Tuesday is another Ask Me Anything, but I'm going to have to cancel it. But otherwise, check the events calendar. I normally do these every Tuesday, and it's my way to try to mentor everyone around the world for free and kind of live. So it's always a fun experiment to just try to help people. All right, so I'm going to set this screen on fire, and I hope everybody has a super rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see some of you tomorrow for our live webinars. Bye.